Well, I'm back again, and the news I hear is bad news, but it's not. It's just so incredibly bad when it comes to Yana Newman, who's still in Havenwyck Hospital in Auburn Hills, Michigan. 13-year-old, my biological daughter. You know, I'm a veteran. I served two terms as a veteran. Served 2 terms in the military. My father did 20 years. I had 2 brothers to serve in the military, and I can't get any. I can't get the right kind of support from the VA, and it's like oh wow, it's just like some type of personal vendetta. When I was drafted back in the 70s, I was drafted back in the 70s, and the problem I had was, they say we were fighting communism, and that's what, and even though I didn't want to go to the military, but when they said that they were fighting communism, and I had lived the average life, and I was born in America. My father was in the Air Force, and I said, well, back then it wasn't spoke about veterans. Veterans wasn't spoke about then like they are now. Even as my father was in the Air Force, it wasn't like he had special privileges or anything, but I guess it was a little bit more money, and we lived pretty good from time to time. But when I got drafted, I just, well, now I don't know if they do rebuild the military. How you gonna get your help? Because people that volunteer for stuff, they do good at it, but to really, I think most of my offering to the military was the fact that I just felt it was like beneath me, other than fighting communism. Anybody should, to be a human being, you should fight communism because that got to do with God. But now, it's just a different thing about fighting or whatever. But my problem is when I went in the military, if I had said when I got drafted, if I had told the people at the registration that I was a homosexual, then I would have been exempt from going into the military. But I just, me being 19 at the time, I just couldn't see saying something like that. Even if you don't want to go to the military, especially when they were talking about communism. But anyway, but now after 40 years later now, all of my benefits are being handled by homosexuals. All of my benefits, and they just like, and just because I'm not a homosexual, you would be shocked as to what transpires here. As to how, all the benefits is going to what homosexuals in the military. They told me they weren't supposed to be in the military. So I don't really know what's coming out, but I'm just trying to say what's happening to me now. I'm pretty much a guy who knows his way around pretty much, but why would the law, why would the government just should not allow veterans to be treated the way they're being treated? I've seen a few veterans, you know, that people were sending people to their house for, got all kind of, preferential treatment, like, a body massage. A guy now, he getting a body massage at home by a guy. you know, I was, it just seems, you know, it's just really, when it comes down to the military now, military, a person, for my state of mind, if you're in the military, you won't go get a massage. you know, you're in the therapy. You ain't gonna be in no therapy with no. It's just real. It's something else when you come right down to it, and especially when you see where in the criminal justice system. That's what kind of got me in a situation where I need to ask. I'm asking for money now, but I know I got to face my own music. And trust me, I've been facing my own music. I didn't never vote for. I didn't vote for Obama. I would let thank God, and God, no, I didn't vote for him because I had just spent 4 years under the first black mayor of Selma, Alabama, which that's why I ran for mayor in Selma, Alabama. That's right. And I learned something about politics that was like, would you destroy your own country? Would you destroy your own self-worth by using government, by using the government, by being really committing acts of treason, really, what it really boils down to. And that's what is being done with veterans. I just wish there was a way that not just as a veteran, but as an American citizen, I could enforce rights. I had a son that was born not too long ago. It's hard to mention exactly how these people did the birth of my son. It's like, and it's still pending now. And can't get no lawyer. You can't find a lawyer just for justice. I can see. Well, I guess the lawyers that are available, they just available for whatever. That's why I'm just asking someone to help me out on this one, because my daughter is in a psychiatric hospital. She's just 13. The sore losers from the Hillary campaign. It's like, I think it got to be these doctors. I know things were terrible for blacks anyway, in any type of system when it comes down to just what you call private judgments and stuff. But these are crimes committed toward, small children. A 13-year-old, an American 13-year-old born in America, I just don't see how the government could subject her to what they're subjecting my daughter to, unless they're trying to do something to my daughter because of me, which I'm not, I'm not in trouble with the law. I've always been a citizen. I'm not saying I've been a choir boy all my life and stuff like that, but I never, I got a good, it's a very good side to me, and I'm aware of that, and I think it's wrong. Oh yeah, and just a couple of days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I was fortunate enough to be able to try to go to court because I had signed some papers which, to refuse treatment because the doctor wouldn't allow my daughter to come to outpatient. Dr. Malock, or whatever his name is, he worked at Havenwyck Hospital. And he's supposed to be some type of psychiatric doctor. He see having my daughter there and just putting her full of medicine, and she can't even visit with her family as a family. She got sister and brothers, that she was been with all her life. It's just a terrible situation. And the thing about people sitting around in America thinking it's something funny, that's why a lot of, things is real, things that are funny, it's not so funny, when it's just so senseless. It's so senseless. And as much as I've done for this country and in this country, it looks like someone should help me out on this one. It's not like, anyone ever heard of me before. It's not like anyone knows of me before. But at the same time, I just wanted well, like I say, I'm a veteran. 2 times, I served twice. My father did 20 years in the Air Force. I got 2 brothers that served, and they have since passed away. And then, the military had effect upon their life. And I know that a lot of times people ain't doing nothing. They might well go to the military. You ain't doing nothing here. That's really some things. Well, there are a lot of good things to learn in the military, I guess. But at 19, I guess you just got to go where you got to go. My problem is my military thing was over 40 years ago, and now I don't know, because of the world, the life I guess we have lived, the trends that have taken on in America. Now, a lot of guys went to Canada when the draft was being instituted back in the Vietnam era. But me, I didn't really do any of that. I just volunteered for the draft, and now everybody all homosexuals got access to my files. It's like they have taken the American flag and just turned it against me. The only way I can see it. And they actually do this. They actually set up on benches. It's a judge, I forget his name, Makuta Kuckin or whatever. You know, Mazzello or whatever, downtown the other day. It's just probate court. But dealing with a 13-year-old child, you would think, all the stuff is there. They got all these fancy cameras and just nasty. Just nasty. A homosexual, I don't know, was he a homosexual lawyer or something? He asked me, see, my daughter's biggest problem was she's sympathetic toward homosexual community because she say that they, she have what you call a soft spot, which, that's humanistic. But at the same time, they look at and they using her. The same thing that's making her depressed and taking medicine. These same people are the ones who are persecuting me and my family, persecuting me and her, and the rest of our family just for the teaching of, just for saying they don't care nothing about the teaching of Jesus Christ. The only reason why I was drafted into the military because they say we were Christian soldiers. Other than that, what reason would I have to go to the military? And at the same time, I think that's, to me, that's just a person's duty. If they can serve honorably, I guess. But anyway, I need help. And I just need someone that's of importance to either just call this hospital, Havenwyck Hospital in Auburn Hills. My daughter's name is Yana Newman. She's just there. She's there because they trying to make a joke out of her. I guess because I campaigned for Donald Trump. But like I said, I believe the part when Donald Trump say, "What choice do?" We ain't got a whole lot going on, so why not vote for him? I understand that totally, and I don't look for, I just look for the law to at least be, especially to children. Why what good is going to happen to any adult who just abused children? Is there a history of something supposed to be good happening to these people? Is that just a stretch of the imagination? Or are people really just that stupid to believe in stuff like that? The more you molest the children, the better off it's going to be for your children. I didn't get to that point. It just seems like that's where a lot of money is going. That's why Hillary, with $2 billion of petty cash, couldn't win. People can't even figure out how Trump won. The only way I know that he won is because God said enough. It's time for change. It's time to go in another direction. And the mind blower is, why is it that I didn't go? Why is it I ain't go through the changes I see people going through? When I voted for McCain, Obama won. When I voted for Romney, and he choked like, I was glad when Trump said he choked like I ain't gonna even say the word. But we can't. But I know Trump know about him being white, I guess. I ain't gonna tell him about how much white folks like dogs, so I ain't gonna say, I ain't gonna try to put a dog in a bad light. But it was just like, people, I try to stay out of their way. What I know about sensitive areas that they have, and people have a right, I guess, to be however they want to be. But that's what people need to know. Now, if another person can understand that, that's true. I heard some good news today. I heard about that they might even put, they have schools where, that's why we don't have any decent public schools, because, children can't pray in school. That's one of the most terrible things to do to a child. You get him up, kick him outdoors first thing in the morning, and then shut God out of his life. That's just not a good combination. And so, but back to Iana, she's a strong girl, but some things are just unfair. I talked to her this evening. I paid her a visit, and it's just, it's just pitiful in a so-called civilized society. I can see we was down in the wherever, but people now they too And then when something happened bad, they say, "Wow, what going on? What did I do? What haven't you done?" You know, it's like, how can you be? But one thing I like about the new persuasion, so to speak, is there is a better spirit. So that's what I'm trying to say. People can have a good spirit. Why are these people these so bad? If they ain't dark, if they ain't molesting children, they ain't satisfied. You know what? you know, I mean, how can you get with something like that? you just got to be, you just got to be twisted. It's okay to see weird movies. I guess that's what got Hollywood off the rocker. You know, and a lot of that stuff, we are realizing just how dead the people in Hollywood are. You know, just because you're an actor, that don't mean you got good sense. You know, that really don't. And we got to really, you know, that's really something. You would think a person that was an actor would have sense. Now some of these basketball players, you know, like they vote for Hillary Clinton trying to get black people to vote for him. Anybody can play basketball. A person who is a EMRs can play basketball. Anybody, you know, they ain't got a certain. They got a few animals that can shoot a ball. I guess a monkey could play ball, you know, and we know about that. Monkey could play basketball, but that don't mean just cause. And that's common sense. Everybody know that. So common sense will say you're not a rocket scientist because you can play basketball. You know, you make a lot of money. That's fortunate and that's good. But everybody, common sense will say if everybody play basketball, then who gonna suppose everybody play basketball? Then what?
I wanted to say something. You know, I wanted to say that this doctor out there, I think he's about 3 feet tall. They call him some Dr. Malock or whatever the heck his name is. And just like Minister said, we was in court on the 27th, and he asked the judge, I need to ask my daughter something in front of the court because there's a lot of confusion going on about what she's saying. And my husband asked her today, said, well, why, did you hear me asking for you to say something? Why didn't you say anything? She said, well, the doctor told me not to say nothing, the lawyers, and that's what Minister was trying to point out in court. He said, look at all those white guys over there surrounding her. You know, that's not right. Dr. Malock and some doctors, I'm going to get his name down, Pat. But these people sitting up over at Havenwyck Hospital, President-elect Trump, they are milking the insurance industry. They are mistreating people. I have talked to so many people. And I ain't just talking about past patients. I'm talking about present patients. I have talked to very professional people say they don't even fool with Havenwyck Hospital. They say that's a house of horror. That place is a disaster. They're surprised that it's not even shut down. Those people are terrible over there. And like Minister said, what in the man, doctor, who the hell you think you are? You supposed to be a psychiatrist. What the hell are you doing telling my daughter don't say nothing to her biological father? You crazy. You really don't know who you messing with. I don't care who you is. I done took down a whole mayor of a town. I don't know who you think you dealing with or who you used to dealing with, but that stuff that you are doing to her is wrong. You are wrong. And something gonna be done about what you're doing. While y'all sitting around there talking about this investigation, who under investigation, you under investigation right now. I'm taking my case to the people. People are listening right here, right now, about what you are doing. And don't you think that they don't know? You got a that whole organization. If I had known anything about Havenwyck Hospital, my daughter would not have been there. And she was sent there based on the fact that people didn't like us initially when we went to the hospital. You saw it, you know, like in other words, this homosexual thing is finna go. Why you think we elected Trump? You think we elected him because we need people just sitting around the White House? We don't need nobody sitting around the White House, sitting around these hospitals, sitting around these judge offices, just sitting around everywhere on very important stuff. That's just really bad. I mean, that's really bad. You sitting up telling a 13-year-old child, when we go in here, don't say a word. And then while you in there, you telling her not to say nothing to her own father. That's not your job. You really think that everybody keep talking about, well, somebody on the saying, well, you a professional doctor. You don't have to, no, I'm not a professional doctor. No, he's not a professional doctor. But we are men and women of God. And that beats any position in the world that you could pull up. Because if you think that God is not sitting high looking low at you, then you just keep on doing what you keep rolling like you're rolling. Because God is not sleeping. He know what you're doing. In the meantime, we're working on things that we need to work on. Because you have no right no right to go against our right on what we want, the kind of care we want for our daughter. Our daughter been out there 30 days. Negro, you ain't did nothing in 30 days. You sat there and lied and said that some other doctor, Celeste or whoever he is, lied at first and told the judge. They'll ask you specifically, has she taken any medicine? Nope. He asked you again. Oh yeah. You all, and even the judge got the courtroom rigged. Y'all, everything just rigged. You just nasty just because a person don't have a lawyer, because we got to deal with old homosexual Obama. This old homosexual switching around in the White House talking, and then you got some old homosexuals talking about he been a good role model. For good role model to who? For homosexuals? And he ain't no good role model to you all. Because people in this country are mad as heck with you. The win and fall in this country, now they got to come back. Minister ain't the only one talking about it. They got to come back, and some homosexual sitting around on their file with their legs all crossed trying to pretend like they're a woman. You ain't no, be a man. You sit up as a homosexual and try to be dirty. Be a man. You so bad. Why can't you be a man for? Why can't you be a man? And what you're doing, we're not fixing to stop talking about this. Matter of fact, this is just a sample. 13 years old, you sitting up messing with a 13-year-old child. And we had a meeting scheduled with you, Dr. Malock, and you were scared to meet with both of us. That's because you a punk. You were scared to meet with both of us. Then you didn't bring the daughter down. Then when we agreed that he would meet with you, my husband, then you didn't bring our daughter down. You's a sorry. See, that's what I'm saying. All that deception that you got going on. You don't want everybody in the same room because you want to be lying about what people are saying and what they not saying. You trying to scare a 13-year-old, so you think that make you a man. So you think that's the move of a man, don't you? Well, I'm here to tell you that's the move of a punk. I know a punk when I see one. I've been around punks all my life. I know a sorry punk. I'm talking about you, a psychiatrist. You need to see a psychiatrist. Everybody that's involved need to go get some conversion therapy. You sitting up there just on the insurance, milking the insurance industry line, running a place, coercing people into saying things. Iyanna wasn't talking like that when she was here at home. You think that's supposed to make you? What you think? You really actually think that's supposed to do something for you? Like I got to make sure she okay before she leave. She ain't gonna be okay when she leave, fool. God controls life and controls death. That's not your job. You really think that that's your job? You think that's supposed to be some sport that you sitting around trying to mistreat my daughter, trying to keep her from having a relationship with us, trying to turn her against us? You really think that's something sporty? There's nothing sporty in that. You just let me know the type of old weasel ass punk you is, cause you a punk. I tell you that to your face. If I could have got in the room with you, but you smart enough not to bring us in the room, especially if you talking some stuff I don't want to hear. You a liar. You a liar. You are just a cold. Then you got these old judges running around trying to pretend like, this old little black guy down there, he look old little homosexual talking about, well, I'm trying to make sure that your daughter stay in the hospital. He around trying to question somebody. Do you think homosexuality is immoral? Hell yeah, it's immoral. It ain't what I think, it's what God said before I was ever born. It's what's in the word of God. You keep talking like this me, and this ain't God. Then you get around people, you're homophobic, you don't like homosexuals, you don't like yourself. If a person go against God, what am I supposed to like them for? You don't like yourself. You got more nerves than I got, because I ain't finna go against God. I go against you, though, at all costs. I don't care about going against you, because what you doing is nothing.
Well, that's
You
what.
are garbage. You are trash. You need to be, like, in other words, Michigan got the worst medical system. Just like this, why you think that's supposed to be something clever because you a psychiatrist and well, we gonna go with what the doctors say. We just, a man in prison right now diagnosed 500 white people, lied to them and told them they had cancer. You think I trust Michigan medical system for real? You really think I don't know about that? Since I've been here, I've been misdiagnosed. I had to go get another opinion. You all flat up lied to me. You think I'm supposed to? This man is in prison right now for misdiagnosing all these people, and some of these people not even living. And you trying to talk about? You talking about? We gonna go with what the doctors say. Then you got old judge. He dragging his big butt up in the courtroom, looking on. Trying to look at somebody. What you looking at? Just because you can be dirty and lie. Trying to take, in other words, trying to take away our rights to say what we want and don't want pertaining to our child. It's just a sham. Donald Trump coming into office January the 20th, he gonna shake this whole country down. And you going down, all y'all going down. Because all this stuff that you doing to people, just like old people used to say, says one thing that you gonna find in life of some about dirty people. They can give it, but they can't take it. Just like in other words, you're getting around here now like a bunch of sissies can't stand the fact that Donald Trump is the president. Oh my God, you need Kool-Aid, Play-Doh, sucking on popsicles. You need a therapy dog. You're just a bunch of sissies. That's what you is, yes. You're just running around doing all this talking, but you ain't thinking about the people that had to live up under Obama and his sissy mess. But you ain't thinking about how we suffered up under Obama. And we suffered under Obama. And we never voted for Obama one time. I was too smart to vote for Obama. Mulatto leadership. Look that stuff up. I was too smart to vote for somebody like Obama. Even if, in other words, I might have suffered, but I ain't suffered because I went in that poll and voted for him. I knew what he represented when he went there. I know a lot of people may not know that, but you know that now. Obama is nothing. And look what he's doing now. He's still running around all throughout the country. Just being nasty to anybody he can be nasty to. He ain't thinking about anything. Just in other words, he feel like, in other words, Russia hacked the election. No, God hacked that election. You ever thought about that? God hacked that. You want to talk about hacking? God controls the hearts and the minds of people. Just like God did that, he gonna keep doing, and he gonna keep doing, and he gonna keep doing. Things that you didn't think he would do are gonna happen. In other words, you still think you can look over God. We need a recount. Something is wrong. We need to change the electoral vote. Writing people letters and threatening them and telling them that they better vote for Hillary. Vote for Hillary for what? Hillary, the reason why right now black people are in the situation they in, she trying to talk against the police. She talking against the police, and she the reason why the police think we super predators. She started that mess way before we knew she started it. She talking about implicit bias. That's implicit bias. She started that. And I supported that old hag one time before. Had I known she did something like that, I wouldn't have never supported nobody that would talk about black people like that. She has, that's wrong what she said. That's why she at home now. Talking about she got the popular vote. Hey, if Donald Trump, but you know what? When she was running around running for office, Donald Trump has no path to 270. So he concentrating on what he need to do to get to be president. Now he along with the voter smacked you upside the head. Now you talking about a popular vote. Illegal immigrants out voting. Anybody dead folks vote. Then you're trying to pretend like, Oh, we don't know nothing about that. We've only had 10 cases. Yeah, you only had 10 cases that you prosecuted, but everybody know about the voting system. Everybody know how illegal everything is. And so then you got the president of the United States. It took black people umpteen years to start voting. Now he runs around before the election. Well, what we need to do, we need to make sure, his exact word was, if you got a license, you can go vote. If you got a
A
license, you
driver,
can go. If
a
you got
driver.
a driver's license, you can go vote. You got a driver's license, go vote. That man hook and crook. That just let you know when God is for you, the world can't do you no harm. God put that man there, and you know what? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you, the Lord of the worlds, that you showed your power, because people are tired of this homosexual leadership. We've been talking about this homosexual leadership over here 10 years. Y'all ain't fooling me here in the state of Michigan. I know you all are targeting us because you don't like what we represent. You don't like family. You don't, this little dump place, Detroit, Sodom and Gomorrah. I already know. I already know. You're not fooling me talking about something about Iyanla. You just trying to use Iyanla, basically because you can't do anything with us. Because hey, go deal with God. He the one said homosexuality is an abomination, and it is, and I see why. You know what? I really see why.
Yeah,
That's really sad. You got a old sorry black Negro standing up there, an attorney for the state, asking you. So do you think why you think homosexuality? Okay, we're in the courtroom now talking about my daughter now. It's a very serious point. He's sitting there with his old sissy behind, asking the judge, sitting Lawrence Pacello or whoever the hell he is, won't give you no opportunity. Every time my husband tried to answer a question, he jumping in. We got to get to the answer. You can't tell nobody how to answer no question. You didn't like the answer. You didn't like the answer because it went along. It wasn't talking along on homosexual line. He can't talk like no homosexual because he's not a homosexual. We there trying to defend our daughter, and we're gonna continue to defend our daughter. You know, you think it's supposed to be an easy path. You probably thinking in your mind that you just dealing with little drop in. Like I hear about how you've been walking over people, walking over single mothers. Oh, I got that. When I found out when you all started doing what you were doing to me, I started getting the 411. It's a shame before God. The way you taking single black mothers and dragging their children through the system. Don't nobody like you. Doctors don't. A doctor said he hadn't sent 20 or 30 patients. He don't even send nobody over there to you no more. He said, y'all are just nothing. And he asked his name not to be called. And I won't call his name or her name. His or her name will not be called. So you ain't nothing. I done talked to all kinds of professional people. Said Havenwyck Hospital is nothing but garbage. So they have anonymously tried to call the state and tell them they need to shut that place down. People answer the phone. You can't talk to your daughter. They in the background. Kelly Fontana, I think is her name. Kelly Fontana. Somebody called me and told me about her. Tanya on the telephone. All of them just nasty. You try, and then you think, in other words, you really think I think some of you, and you doing this to a 13-year-old. You really actually in your mind think I really think something of you. I don't think anything of you. I think you need to be in hell. While you trying to make hell for her, you sitting over there actually just trying to turn her against her parent. We got this girl been with us 13 years. You can't, that just show you how crazy you think. I don't care what you try to do. I don't care what you hook and crook and everybody know you. You got a reputation for doing this. Iyanla belong to us. Iyanla don't know. You just like in matter of fact, I don't know what Iyanla gonna do when she find out about you all. She 13. She 13 years old. I don't even know what she gonna do when it really come to her. Just how low life you are. I didn't know how I was gonna talk to Iyanla. I tried to talk to Iyanla about race. Tried to talk to her about stuff very gentle, because I know you have to use tact. Y'all made my job easy. That's one good thing. You really made my job easy because I didn't know how in the world. Iyanla used to talk to me. When she was 12 years old. She worried about Tamir Rice. She said, "Well, the Pope, they shot him." In other words, they ain't got no respect for TV. You in the channel you look on. Tamir, they showing the children how they shot him in 2 seconds. They showing the children how two men kissing. I'm saying on regular TV now, regular TV, a regular channel where you supposed to be a family channel. They got two men sitting up kissing, shooting black guys, just doing all kinds of stuff in front of what back in the day they used to try to tell you be careful how you can just follow your child around all on the internet. And she actually sitting down there saying, "Wow, why in the world he 12 years old? That's a play gun. Why did he get out and shoot like the lady over there? Her name is Tanya. Tried to get smart with me one night on the phone, trying to tell me, but I don't know Iyanla and this, that, and other. I said, what you mean by that? I said, you sound like you white. I said, Iyanla black. I said, what you mean? I said, so well, race ain't got nothing to do with it. I said, well, God the one made everybody different races. And she started trying to talk. I like them conversations. Said, I ain't like Iyanla. I can sit down and talk about race all day long from a very positive perspective. I said, so what you gonna tell Iyanla? And I said, Iyanla probably don't even know how to say anything to you because of the difference of race. What you gonna tell Iyanla? What could you tell Iyanla about Tamir Rice being shot at 12 years old versus her not seeing white guys getting gunned down? Oh, you a racist. That's what I'm saying. See, in other words, don't come to me talking to me. I'm not 13 years old. And that's why I know that what you doing, what you meaning for bad, God gonna make it for her good. I know it's made for my good. I know I'm comfortable talking to her about it straight across the board. I know I'm gonna feel very comfortable talking to her about race-based things because look at what she's surrounded by. She was the court. They had her in like a closed caption on the web while we were in the courtroom, surrounded by four white guys. Y'all think that you think that make you a man, don't you? I just looked at you. I just took a look. I said, that's a crying and a shame that you got homosexuals just sitting around. In other words, you thinking you trying to show me something. Yeah, you showing me something. You showing me that I'm on the right track about what I think about you. Cause that's shameful. That's just a disgrace that you sitting up there telling her daddy trying to talk to her. You telling her don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing to him. Him. She got 23 chromosomes in her body from him. 23. And you talking about him to her just like he's some type of really you talking like you really the mosquito. You really the gnat that's in the way. This her biological father. I'm her biological mother. Y'all look so stupid talking to a child that got two parents, but you're all on TV. 80% of the black homes don't have fathers. Well, she got a father, so see what I'm saying? No matter what you do. That's why I keep trying to tell black people, and I'm really not going to be engaging with them a lot no more. They're going to have to just catch on to some things on their own. Y'all need to step to the plate and be moral. Then you'll see something. Stop being so immoral. Immoral. Do something right.
Stop being such a sister. Don't you really? And then they say if you born a homosexual, I guess you have to be reborn anyway. The average man has to be reborn. Everybody has to be reborn. So what's the point?
Well, if you born a homosexual, that's the purpose of the teachings of Jesus Christ. You think it's a way for you to just be running around with a Bible in your hand, hollering in the church worse than a woman? No, it's designed that by Christianity. That's the purpose of Christianity, so you can become born again. It's not so you can get all down in the dirt and be a real sissy. That's not what it's about. I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. Just before I die, I'm going to profess the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord and personal Savior. Don't you fool yourself. And I get up every morning and lose my religion just about every day. I get up every morning and practice as a Christian. And you think all you got to do is sit around and figure out when you going to die and you going to say, Lord, forgive me for all my sins. You think you going in. Man, get real.
Well, according to the Roman Empire, like it ain't so much as the act itself as to what people start doing when they do stuff like that. See, when you do stuff like that, you go in and start doing records. Now you all on the economy. You got the pencil. You got the pencil in your hand. You messing up taxes. You messing up businesses. You just messing up. Then that's what. If you really boil it down, it gonna have some type of. It has some type of effect on the deficit. Really. And he never thought about deficit. They said Obama just spent money just like they got a big money tree in the back of the White House somewhere. They got a money tree at the White House. They said Obama just, they said one thing about Obama when it comes to spending money, he ain't selfish.
Well, that's because he's spending your money, he's spending my money, and he ain't never had no money and it don't belong to him. That's just like this other doctor that was in court. His name is Dr.Slistack. He saw Iyanla, the judge basing his decision on, she got a second opinion. He's outside. He ain't got nothing to do with Havenwyck. He's somebody from a whole nother place. Like, I really believe it. Like, I don't know they buddies. He saw Iyanla on two different occasions for 20 minutes. And this how he making his assessment to overrule her parent.
Yeah. Now I wish I had a job. I wish I could help Mr. Trump out and sit because that thing with insurance fraud about this medical stuff. It's like, can you imagine how much money it costs for them to just molest a child? It costs money. It costs a lot of money to molest a child. I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about the mental. You know, just to have a child trying to be so emotional about all this stuff that's going on. And children, they just forever giving. They always want to give to. If they see a rabbit with a broken wing, let's get the rabbit. Let's get the rabbit. That's the way. That's just children are giving. They're giving human beings. They want to feel sorry for everybody. They want everything to be heavenly. But and the reason why it can't be a lot of time is because of the same people that they feeling sorry for are the same people that's causing all this stuff. It just don't make sense. And then I remember once I guess Mr. Trump won something, he was trying to tell Hillary she just still running around, and he just had to tell her, say it's okay, it's okay. In order to run a civilization, trust me, you just cannot. Some things, it just would seem like it's just not the way to do it. Everything you do is backward. You dumb as a rock. How you gonna take over a world that's complex? And this world is not that complex. How you gonna rule? See, America not only needs a president, it needs a world leader. This man already got companies all the way around the world. He probably have seen most stuff. Cause I thought I was in the military for a while. I thought it was so dynamic to just be going from one country to another. This man here got businesses all. That's unbelievable that a person could do that much traveling. But look how common it is for him to know what's going on in this place and that place. He is in a very good position to work on world peace if he get young people involved. Cause old people are just too nasty. Once, especially when it comes down to the way how nasty some of them, especially those welfare politicians. Welfare politicians that ain't never had a job. Oh, that's pitiful. You talking about the swamp?
Yeah, and trust me, they got a swamp so deep over at Havenwyck Hospital. It's hard to believe. I've never known an insurance company to allow what is happening over there in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And I've sent a lot of information out to different people on the outside concerning this situation. And so it's just real bad. What these doctors are doing is they talking about she had an attorney, some Jeffrey. It's
she
beautiful.
she got an attorney. I was trying to find an attorney, because I'm the one trying to. She got an attorney helping the hospital molest. Just messed it. Just
telling her all of a sudden now she telling me. They telling her about all these rights you got. I said, well, why don't you tell them to give you your $1 million from Alabama? Since you got so many rights all of a sudden. You got rights now because they want to try to come between you and your family, which they just not gonna be able to do. You know what you all are doing? What you all are doing is just, you know, that's just sissified. It's just no, I can't put it no other way, Minister. It's just sissy. It's just too much of a sissy.
Well, all that I can say, I just wish someone would recognize this for what it is and just go to GoFundMe.com. Go, I forget exactly.
www.gofundme.com/Lewis hyphen Dixon hyphen
Yeah,
legal hyphen family hyphen fund.
yeah. I just wish there was a way that someone, that it wouldn't affect them too much. I just can't see a lot of people understanding what's going on. But some people that have a did something, especially people that's a Christian, you could, if you listen, you could. We are accountable people. It's just been real terrible for the last 7 or 8 years, or longer. Just living the life of a black Christian, especially when, in the, especially when the government is against it. If the government is against it, then it's just bad business. But the whole problem is we got somebody. Hey, we got somebody that seems to be doing. That seems to have common sense. And then and been around that have had something. See, we don't need people, welfare people. I never had a lot myself. But I'm not the kind of person, just act. You got a job to do. Everybody waiting on you to do something. You ain't doing nothing. And I would hate to be them four guys in Benghazi. I'm ashamed of white people when they start allowing stuff like that to happen in public and not able to say or do anything about it, just to show people that this is a part of that they make up. That's not good. That is terrible for a person to refer to another military person. Yeah, because if it wasn't for the military, then you think that people, you wouldn't be sitting up in this country looking around. It's here because people died for it to be here. And now they're saying, well, the people that died, they're taking away that reason. I don't know how they're going to take away for the reason that a Christian soldier died. When his soul is accountable for on an everlasting purpose. So either way, it's gonna conflict with whatever. You know, I'm trying. You ain't gonna unite or elevate a civilization without something that's divine. That's like you out molesting children. You finna raise up. You out molesting children. You raise yourself as being what? Who? That's not.
And they think, and then these doctors, they sit around and like I say, I was carrying my son, and you'll be surprised at the diagnosis they gave me. It's just by the grace of God that we just have common sense, and I'm an advocate. We our own advocates for our own health, but you'll be surprised at what these people took me through, and how far I had to go to get another opinion. It's just, and then now they back, and then my son, they didn't even circumcise him, just straight up lying. We in a legal thing with them now. That's why they trying to draw this other stuff out with Iyanla. They really actually think that they can do stuff to you, and you ain't got a right to defend yourself. If we don't defend ourselves, who gonna defend us? Because it's obvious, black people ain't got your back. These black people in position. That's why they butt got to go. They ain't got your back. You can stop playing that brotherhood stuff with them. They don't have your back. They don't have their own back. They ain't got their children back. Their children get messed up in the process. And trying to mess up your children. And we've been talking about this stuff for a long time. And they are just so behind my husband. I just sat there and watched three, four white guys just sitting there, talking about trying to pretend like my daughter is afraid of her father when my daughter is a daddy's girl. You know, everybody know that. She been going, like Minister said, she been going through problems trying to pretend like these old homosexuals is people ain't nobody bothering them. They bothering everybody. That's all they do. They go out, they throw what you call these old sissy punches at people, and then when people go rise back up against them, then they try to go and look innocent, pretend like people messing with them. When you the one running around, taking your behind around, talking about I'm coming out now. You know, okay, it's risk with coming out. You think people, I tried to tell you all that 4 or 5 years ago, ain't nobody gonna like you. I'm a black person, some things I know. No, ain't nobody gonna like you. You coming out for what? You know, you got to understand, it's a lot of people in this country don't like homosexuality. And you see that now through the votes. Don't you think? That's why you run around talking about all these people supporting Trump. They racist, they homophobes, they sexist, they this, they that. But the whole thing is, if you listen to the people that are Democrats, their whole conversation, they just want Trump to tell them that they can continue to be a homosexual in the seat and just keep getting in other people's business. Mind your own business. People don't want you in their business. This is what they want. They want to be running around getting in everybody's business. Get you some business.
Well, it's just, it, well, but see, man and woman have they call it the battle of the sexes. But the I hate to mention why a man really like a woman and why a woman really like a man. We don't want to talk about it. But just to say, two souls can know each other well enough to like each other from the same sex. It's another ball game. I must admit, it's it's a God process when God have to join you together as a man and a woman. Really,
and they need
you ain't gonna stay. You ain't gonna stay if God don't put you together in marriage. You just might well.
They need to get these homosexuals out of these courtrooms because all they do is try to sit around in the courtroom, and just because they can't have their way, they want to start trying to, threaten people with the criminal justice system. You need. That's what I'm saying. See, and that's what I'm saying. So when the same stuff start happening to you, don't you be running around talking about it. Because what goes around, come around. When the same, I don't even, if a man, God gave him male parts, and he can't be a man. I can't imagine him being able to stand up against the stuff that we have to stand up against on a daily basis. If you can't be a man, what else in the heck you finna be? A woman? You really think a real man gonna look at you like a woman? I mean, really? Then because a person then you want to play this old child psychology about somebody homophobic, but you gay though. You want to call people names. You call me a name, I'm gonna call you a name. That's just simple as that. Then you want to start. Then people want to start talking about the Bible and how a person should sound. No, a person from God shouldn't be sounding like no sissy. A person call you a name, you got a right to call him a name. It's the way. It's a shame the way that Lawrence Pacello acted in his courtroom. The way he acted, you are so nasty. You are nasty. And the way you hopping up on that bench.
It's this way.
The way you hopping up on that bench and what you doing inside that courtroom in the probate courtroom, that's terrible. You are a terrible person. And I hope you ain't got children and grandchildren and running around doing other people's children like this. I just hope you don't. Cause that what you did. That was terrible. That's a curse that you put. That's a real curse. That stuff that you call yourself doing, what you trying to pretend like y'all supposed to be a super predator. Y'all not no super predator. And y'all got a mama and a daddy, and they trying to make such a big deal, like in other words, trying to make it seem like whatever they trying to make it seem like. When that's y'all, it's just really sad. It's just really sad that y'all got to go into. In other words, you can't be a man if if you want to do something about what somebody doing, do it. No, you want to go and get in these positions and sit around, and then you want to think somebody crazy enough not to know what you're doing. Then you always talking about what's rigged. That whole thing was rigged. I mean, rigged to the bone. Because it don't make no sense for a judge to conduct that courtroom the way you conducted that courtroom. That was just real bad.
Yeah, when you go in some of these buildings,
And I have prayed to God that He really do something to you and 4 generations to come about what you did to mine. If you think for 1 second that I feel anything for what you did other than, I ain't gonna tell you how I really feel. But if you remotely think that I'm beyond and I've got any soft spot for what you're doing, then you got a long ways to go. I serve a God, he sit high and he look low. And he know how I feel. I don't feel like turning no other cheek either. Because I see some things, and some just like when Jesus was in the Bible, Jesus got a disdain for people that mistreat children. He said, let the little children come unto me. All the adults trying to run the children down to get to Jesus, just like the children ain't got a spot with God. Y'all got more of a spot with God than you will ever have. Than you would ever have. All she got to do is call on him like she been taught to do. But she's so caught up into, in other words, believing that mess you telling her.
Well,
But that's garbage. That's garbage. Iyanla not a homosexual. She not finna be a homosexual. That's garbage.
well, I just wish.
What's supposed to be so good about a man going up behind another man? What's really okay? You saying that being a homosexual, you gay and you happy, but you're always angry with people when they don't like you, when they don't want to be bothered with you. Cause ain't no a person in their right mind that's not gonna want to be bothered. Cause that's disgusting for two men to even sit around and do some mess like that. You an abomination to yourself. And then that stuff that Lawrence Pacello did, that judge, that's an abomination what you did against us. That's in the book of Proverbs. When you don't dispense justice, when you do what you did, that's an abomination. Abomination. Just like when you got that job, you swore to uphold the law before God or however way you do it. And you not doing none of it. The only thing you doing is listening to some Dr.Slistack who done talked to this girl on 2 occasions for 20 minutes. She been out there over 30 days, over 40 days. Who the hell y'all think y'all fooling? You're trying to make a point with us. You ain't finna never make no point with me. I'm trying to tell you. I would never go along with homosexuality. You're not fixing to make no point with me. I suffered under Obama to make that point. Obama know. And Obama personally have attacked my family. I ain't talking about no jumping in the wind. He trying to pretend like he's so cool and he got it. Obama is a low down, dirty snake in the gray. He's nothing. And the people that follow him, be careful who you follow. Birds of the same feather flock together. All these people in position. And the people that's voting, I can't quite say where the 80% at, but they are definitely voting against themselves. But them people in positions that follow Obama, they ain't nothing. So, man, we going to close out. You got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I've been with y'all so long. I appreciate y'all. You let me come into your house, in your car, wherever you at. But I really appreciate it. I wish someone would listen, because like we just don't know what else to do. At our wit's end, but I like what I see coming up on the horizon. So that's all cool. It's just that, and I think that somehow, some way, I'm gonna get my daughter. But I just wish. It's just so many things. It's not just that. It's just so many things. But that's one of the things I just really, really, really need to try to take care of as soon as I possibly can. And I'm just asking for some help. I'm a 2-time veteran. If I could just get my veterans benefits, I would be. That would be enough money to do what I need to be doing. If I just see, when I first got out of the military a long time ago, we're gonna go ahead and close now, but I'm gonna come back later. But anyway, take care and follow the signs, because that's what I pray God that all of us do.
Okay, we'll be back with you shortly.